The White House has revoked CNN reporter Jim Acosta's press access after a contentious moment in a news conference by President Donald Trump, White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders said Wednesday night. The reasons Sanders gave for pulling Acosta's press pass were clearly fabricated. She claimed in a statement that Acosta placed his hands on a young woman just trying to do her job as a White House intern, which resulted in the decision to suspend Acosta's access to the White House until further notice. Video replays of the interaction showed that this was clearly not the case. The fact that CNN is proud of the way their employee behaved is not only disgusting, it is an example of their outrageous disregard for everyone, including young women, who work in this administration, Sanders said in a statement to the White House press pool. As a result of today's incident, the White House is suspending the hard pass of the reporter involved until further notice. Later in the evening, Sanders tweeted a video that included an NFL instant replay-like zoomed-in version of the incident, saying that the White House stood by its earlier decision. As president, Trump has launched an unprecedented war against journalists, frequently deriding the fake news media and especially CNN. Acosta, who has gained notoriety for his sparring sessions with the president, has been perhaps his favorite target. The decision to pull his pass, however, marked a new escalation. In Wednesday's news conference earlier in the day, Trump grew increasingly irritated with Acosta's persistent questioning. At one point, the president called Acosta a rude, terrible person who shouldn't be working for CNN. Honestly, you should let me run country, you should run CNN, and if you did it well, your ratings would be much better, Trump said. Video from the event shows a press assistant then reaching to grab the microphone away from Acosta, who pulls back and continues trying to ask Trump a question about the Russia investigation. The president then walked away from his lectern while the woman grabbed the mic and gave it to another reporter. It is clear from the video that Acosta did not make any inappropriate actions against the assistant. In a statement Wednesday night, CNN said that it stood behind its reporter and that the move by the White House was an unprecedented decision and threat to our democracy. The White House announced tonight that it has revoked the press pass of CNN White House chief correspondent Jim Acosta. It was done in retaliation for his challenging questions at today's press conference, the network statement reads. Press Secretary Sarah Sanders lied. She provided fraudulent accusations and cited an incident that never happened. This unprecedented decision is a threat to our democracy and the country deserves better. Jim Acosta has our full support. White House Correspondents Association President Olivier Knox also issued a statement saying that his group strongly objects to the Trump administration's decision to use U.S. Secret Service security credentials as a tool to punish a reporter with whom it has a difficult relationship. Revoking access to the White House complex is a reaction out of line to the purported offense and is unacceptable. Knox added, "We urge the White House to immediately reverse this weak and misguided action." Earlier in the day, CNN had derailed its coverage of the midterm elections to hold panel discussions of the fireworks at Trump's news conference. But after the news that Acosta's hard pass had been revoked, the network stuck largely to its coverage of Trump's ouster of Attorney General Jeff Sessions. Many have criticized media outlets for allowing Trump to play assignment editor for them, and in this case, at least, CNN seemed determined not to take his bait. Only briefly at the end of Anderson Cooper's program on Wednesday night, Acosta appeared alongside the host to address the matter. The CNN reporter said he tried to act professionally during the exchange with the president, but that the decision to pull his press pass was about sending a message to his peers in the room. "This is a test for all of us," Acosta said. "I do think they're trying to shut us down to some extent inside the White House press corps. And to some extent, I think they're trying to send a message to our colleagues." On Twitter, support rolled in for Acosta, even from those who have objected to his sometimes confrontational and attention-grabbing style of questioning. Plenty to criticize Acosta about, but he did not place his hands on the intern, tweeted Chuck Ross, a reporter at the Daily Caller, a conservative site. It's ridiculous for anyone to suggest he did. And after Trump joked about Gianford body slamming Ben Jacobs, the White House can't bust out the fainting couch now. At a political rally last month, the president recalled the episode last year when Representative Greg Gianford assaulted a reporter from The Guardian, telling the crowd, "Any guy who can do a body slam is my kind of guy." Reuters White House correspondent Jeff Mason, himself a past president of the White House Correspondents Association, said he was next to Acosta during the entire news conference Wednesday and did not witness Acosta placing his hands on the intern, as Sanders claimed. "I was seated next to Acosta at today's press conference and did not witness him placing his hands on the young intern, as the White House alleges," Mason wrote on Twitter. He held onto the microphone as she reached for it. The Reuters see pictures below depict what happened accurately. Responding to the allegations on Twitter, Acosta called them a lie and posted a video that he said was of a Secret Service officer asking him to hand over his pass and preventing him from entering the White House grounds for a live shot on Wednesday evening. Peter Baker, the New York Times chief White House correspondent, said he had never seen anything like this happen in the more than 2 decades he's written about the West Wing. "This is something I've never seen since I started covering the White House in 1996, Baker wrote on Twitter. Other presidents did not fear tough questioning. It is relatively rare for former White House press secretaries to openly criticize the incumbent, but former spokesman Joe Lockhart, who worked in the Bill Clinton administration, tweeted, "The hard passes that WH reporters are used as a security tool for the WH. Reporters who are vetted are allowed access that most reporters don't have. Those passes are not designed as a tool to pick the reporters you like or punish those you don't. This is an abuse of power." However, Ari Fleischer, who served as press secretary under President George W. Bush, defended the decision. "As a former press secretary from a White House that operated very differently than the Trump White House, I am inclined to give reporters a lot of latitude," he wrote in an email to Politico. "But I cannot defend Jim Acosta's behavior. He doesn't just ask questions. He takes stands, which emphatically is not the job of a White House reporter. This is not the first time Trump has played with press access. In July, the White House barred CNN reporter Caitlin Collins from covering an event after it took issue with questions she asked during an Oval Office photo op, but her credentials were not revoked. A so-called hard pass is the badge that allows regular White House reporters to swipe in and access the grounds. During his run for president, Trump's campaign also pulled several reporters' press badges, including some from the New York Times, The Washington Post, BuzzFeed and Politico. As a candidate, Trump promised not to bar reporters from the White House briefing room if he became president, saying at the time that it's a different thing. It's unclear whether Acosta could gain access to the White House grounds on another basis, since both daily and weekly media passes are available, but they have to be requested on a regular basis. The White House did not immediately reply to questions asking whether Acosta would be allowed in on these types of passes,